All right, let's talk about community. Today we're diving into something called the AET model, which is a really fascinating way of building groups that feel both like a safe home and a place that's buzzing with energy. It gets right to the heart of a problem I think a lot of us have felt before.
And this is the central question, isn't it? I mean, we've all been there. You're in a group where you feel safe, but you're kind of bored, right? Or the opposite, it's super challenging, but you're constantly on edge. The AET model is all about creating a space where you can feel whole and step up. So how on earth does it do that?
I just love this metaphor. Forget all those complicated onboarding processes. Just picture a simple, relaxed game of pétanque. The game is already going, but you're totally welcome to just step into the circle and watch for a bit. You don't have to perform to belong. You just arrive.
Okay, so at the very heart of this model, you have two core ideas that AET calls its DNA: home and alive. And it's really important to get this. These are not just values you write on a wall or some method you follow. They're a way of being. First up is home. Now, this is all about psychological safety. It's that strength to hold your ground, to protect your dignity. And crucially, it means you belong before you perform. In a community that truly feels like home, you can say no without worrying that you're going to be kicked out.
And its partner is alive. This is what they call ethical courage. It's that energy to step in and contribute, not because someone told you to, but because you actually choose to. The source material has a great term for this: contemplative action. You're alive enough to act, but also wise enough to pause and think first. And this slide just nails why you absolutely need both. Think about it. A community that's all home, it just becomes this cozy, comfortable club where nothing ever really happens. But a community that's all alive, without that safety net of home, well, that's just a recipe for burnout and big egos clashing. The real magic is in the balance.
So, you might be wondering, how does this balance actually work in practice? Well, the AET model has these 4 different ways to participate. And I have to stress this: they are non-hierarchical. These aren't job titles. They're not levels of status. They are just different ways of showing up in the community.
This visual is basically a map of the entire system. You can see right there in the middle, the core idea. Transformation happens where people feel both alive and home. And then, orbiting around that idea are the 4 roles that make it all happen: the newcomer, the buddy, the fan, and the actor. Let's break each one down.
So first up, we have the newcomer. This is the entry point, the way into the circle, and its purpose is so important for the health of the whole community.
You see, the whole point of the newcomer role is to let that person create a sense of home for themselves. By letting people just show up, observe, and learn without any pressure, the community proves its commitment to safety from the very first minute. This is huge because it stops people from feeling overwhelmed and just leaving before they've even had a chance.
Now, once a newcomer feels pretty comfortable just being in the circle, they might connect with a buddy.
And the buddy's role is so key. They're a guide, not a supervisor. Their job is to protect that feeling of home by just making the unwritten rules, well, written. They make things clear. It's usually a temporary thing, designed to build trust and help someone see how they could get more involved, but only if and when they feel ready. All right, next is a role that a lot of communities totally misunderstand, or even look down on: the fan.
The fan is the person who makes it okay to belong without having to contribute all the time. These are the people who stay connected, they listen, they reflect, even if they're just too busy to be super active. And here's the big insight: a healthy community always has more fans than active contributors. That's actually a sign of strength, not weakness.
And finally, that brings us to the actor, the person who actually steps into the game to play.
The actor is the one who steps up and brings that alive energy. They bring in real challenges, they host conversations, they're the ones turning all these principles into actual practice. But, and this is a big but, it's not a permanent job, it's situational. Nobody is expected to be a hero 24/7.
So the crucial takeaway here is that these 4 roles aren't just separate jobs. They are all interlocking parts of this really resilient, self-sustaining system.
This table just sums it up perfectly. I mean, look at it. If you don't have a safe way for newcomers to enter, people get intimidated and they drop out. If you don't have buddies, new folks get confused and quietly leave. No fans, everyone feels pressured and they burn out. And without actors, well, the whole thing just stagnates. Every single role is essential.
The result of all this is a community that works by design. The structure itself naturally attracts thoughtful, reflective people.
And it tends to repel those who are just there to collect badges or look good. And let's be really clear, this is not about excluding people. It's about creating coherence. It's a system built for deep integrity, not just for looking good on the surface.
So, after going through all that, what's the one thing that makes this whole model actually work? What is the single most important idea to take away from this? It all comes down to this one powerful sentence. The community stays alive because contribution is possible, and it stays home because contribution is never, ever forced. It's all about possibility without obligation. That, right there, is the engine of the entire system.
And that kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on. Just imagine for a second, your workplace, your teams, even your neighborhood groups. How would they change if they were designed to feel both completely safe and totally alive with possibility? What could that unlock for all of us?